stand by for action.
Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave Milner. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy, and I want to welcome you to part one of this episode of the Unpleasant Blind Guy on EDL Radio. Now remember, if you want to contact me with comments, questions, show suggestions, Awesome American suggestions, I'm available at UBG Contact on Twitter, or I can also be found as Dave Milner or Agador, that's Aggedor, on Mublet, the Tea Party Community, Spreely, Minds, MeWe, or Gab. Now let's begin.
Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. I hope, indeed I pray, that we shall not be found unworthy of our victory if after toil and tribulation it is granted to us. For the rest, we have to gain the victory. That is our task. Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duty, and so bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its commonwealths last for 1,000 years, men will still say, this was their finest hour.
We shall not fail or falter. We shall not weaken or tire. Neither the sudden shock of battle nor the long-drawn trials of vigilance and exertion will wear us down. Give us the tools, and we will finish the job.
We shall go on to the end. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
Did you read well, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, that sums it up. Land of Confusion by Genesis. And it does go along well with the theme of the show tonight. English Defence League radio show, out of control. There's a script. Welcome to the English Defence League radio show with your host, Jeff Spider Mitchell, and my wingman for this evening is Dave Agador Milner. Tonight we will be continuing our discussion of current events with a keen eye on Brexit. Prime Minister Boris Johnson said that Parliament is out of control. The time has come. Put soldiers and angels to take the levers of power from the corrupt political class. It's our Brexit, it's our nation, and it's our legacy of freedom and liberty to leave to the next generation. No surrender ever. All that is necessary for evil to prevail is that good men do nothing. And that was by the late great Edmund Burke. Those who make peaceful revolution impossible make violent revolution inevitable. And that was by the late great President John F. Kennedy. And without further ado, and once again, I've got to thank Dave for the great slides tonight and the scripting for the show. So let me pass it to you, Dave. Good evening, good afternoon, Dave, and welcome. I hope you're well, my friend.
And good evening to you, Jeff, and good afternoon to everybody in the United States. Hello to everyone around the world, and, of course, off Earth and my special friends in the Crab Nebula. Yeah, the Unpleasant Blind Guy, along with the English Defence League radio show, are the most popular conservative talk shows in the Crab Nebula, just so you know. Now,
amen.
Man, have we got a show for you? I mean, it is just pure chaos that's going on. You have these lefties running around, as Jeff would say, with their hair alight, trying to do everything they can to stop Brexit. Jeff, if you don't mind, I'll jump right in and play an audio that I have from Breitbart. This is one from the 22nd that pretty much says it all at this point, okay? So do you mind? I'm going to go ahead and play this one. This will be about 3 minutes and 45 seconds. All right, guys, this is the current situation. Here we go. You're listening to the English Defence League radio show.
Boris Johnson's Brexit plan delayed as Parliament votes against October 31st timetable. By Oliver J. Lane on October 22, 2019. A bid to get UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson's hotly contested Brexit deal delivered in time for the promised October 31st deadline appears to have failed, as members of Parliament voted against the accelerated timetable put before them Tuesday evening. A last-minute Brexit deal agreed between government negotiators and the European Union last week will probably not be delivered by the October 31st do-or-die date promised by Boris Johnson after a vote on accelerating progress to make the deal law in time was defeated in the House. This blow for the government came despite MPs voting to approve his deal to go forward just moments before, and would have passed were it not for dissenting Northern Irish MPs who believe the New Deal is a betrayal of the province. Both votes were considered to be knife-edge decisions and leave the path towards Brexit, either by the end of October as repeatedly promised or another date in the future remaining unclear. Boris Johnson himself looked despondent in the chamber after the vote was read out, but took to his feet with renewed energy and focused first on the fact the House had voted to approve his deal, stating we should not underestimate the significance of this moment. Looking at the route forward for his deal, the Prime Minister again piled the pressure on members in the House, the majority of which were against Brexit during the 2016 referendum and many of which would go to almost any length to prevent Britain leaving without a deal, by announcing the government would respond to Tuesday's vote by intensifying no-deal preparations. While the government insists it is best to leave the European Union with a deal, many Brexiteers insist any new deal the EU would agree to would not be a full Brexit and a betrayal of the spirit of the 2016 vote, but fully leaving the European Union is deeply unpopular in the corridors of power. Boris Johnson said he would now speak to his fellow leaders in Europe to sound them out on whether Brexit would now be delayed, and remarked the immediate effect of the vote going against the government is that progress on the deal would not be halted. sticking to his guns on taking Britain out by the end of October, little more than a week and a half in the future. Mr. Johnson continued, "We will pause this legislation. Let me be clear, our policy remains that we should not delay, that we should leave the EU on October the 31st. And that is what I will say to the EU, and I will report back to the House. And one way or another, we will leave the EU with this deal to which this House has just given its assent." Despite it having now passed a vote in Parliament, Mr. Johnson's deal remains contentious, and key Brexiteers including Nigel Farage and the DUP claim it has fatal flaws. In a mail-shot email sent before Tuesday's votes, Brexit leader Nigel Farage summarised the problems with the deal, remarking it reheats 95% of Theresa May's deal, an agreement with the European Union that Boris Johnson himself twice voted against and said would reduce the nation to a vassal state. Pointing to specific issues, Mr. Farage pointed to the fact in his letter that under the withdrawal agreement being pushed by Mr. Johnson, Britain remains under EU rules but with no vote, no voice, no veto. EU judges can still override our laws and that the United Kingdom will be divided by an internal customs border. Setting out his stall for an alternative route, the Brexit leader concluded, "A clean break Brexit remains the best deal for Britain. We need a general election for a Leave alliance to win a big majority and make Brexit a reality." This story is developing and more follows.
Well, yeah, there you go. I think it sums it up. Land of confusion, isn't it? Contentious, whatever you want to call it. It's just we are getting so, depressed with everybody that's doing their best to sabotage whatever Brexit it comes about. We want to be leaving on the 31st. I know that was as Johnson said, and I know how astonished he was by the reaction of Parliament. No wonder he said they're out of control. I'd like to underline that, out of control, because they are. They are betrayal to the people. And the people will answer their betrayal. There will be a general election, not too distant future. And those who want to play by the sword and the dirty tricks and betraying the people, you will fall by the wayside. You won't be forgot. You will fall by the wayside, but we will account you for what you did over this period of time. When the people in good faith voted to leave the EU, and you did everything in your power to sabotage the whole process, you won't be forgot. There will be a time, there will be a day will you be accountable for. And I'm talking to every single one of you out there who did this against the British, the sovereign people. Because you in Parliament are not sovereign. We are the sovereign people. How dare you try to throw a spanner in the works with what we, the sovereign people, have wanted for this country? How dare you? I sound like that guy. How dare you, Dave?
Yeah. Well, Jeff, that was 2 days ago. And a lot has happened since then. Okay, we've heard things like the EU wants to set an actual Brexit date for 3 months after October the 31st. So that would bring it into like January the 31st of 2020. Okay, and there's definitely election fever.
The Lisbon Treaty by that date, Dave. You understand the implications there? I'm sure you do.
Oh yeah, certainly, Jeff. I mean that's part of the problem, man. That's part of the problem. They're playing around. They're playing, as you guys would say, they're playing silly buggers, and they're expecting this to just grind it down to where there's no Brexit, and that is going to be unacceptable to the people. And one of the things that gets me, folks, we're going to do something later in the show that maybe others aren't going to, but it's going to be quite a workout for me, but we're still going to do it. One of the things that gets me is, the election comes up, there are going to be some members of Parliament that are going to go back to their districts, to their their constituencies and say, well, I voted for Bobo's treaty. All right, yeah, I did that. Oh, well, sure, I voted against doing it on the 31st, but I voted for the treaty. No, that's not good enough. That's just games playing right there. That's all that is, and people should remember that. People should not pay attention to who voted for the treaty. People should pay attention to who voted against getting the UK out on the 31st. It's a treaty. Treaties can be changed, all right? Just getting shed of the EU first is a start. It's a start. And am I happy 100% with the conditions and whatnots in Bobo's deal? No, not particularly, okay? But it's a start. If they can just get out of control of the EU, then, yeah, they can work on things like, for instance, getting 100% shed of the customs union and the European courts and all that junk. Okay? That can be worked on. But get out on the 31st as promised, Jeff. You know, that's my vision of it. Now, I do have an audio here, man. This is one more audio that explains this a little bit further. This one was actually done yesterday. Okay, so if you're ready, I'll go ahead and play this one. This also is from Breitbart. This is about 3 minutes long. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
All right, bro. Okay, guys, this is about 3 minutes long, just a little over 3 minutes. You're listening to the English Defense League radio show.
Parliament is broken. Number 10 could push for election if EU approves Brexit delay. By Victoria Friedman on October 23, 2019. Prime Minister Boris Johnson could push for a snap election if the European Union backs a Brexit delay to January 31, 2020. Last night, MPs got Prime Minister Boris Johnson's European Union withdrawal agreement bill over its first hurdle, voting to give it a second reading by 329 votes to 299. Mr. Johnson succeeded where his predecessor had failed, with Theresa May's withdrawal treaty having been voted down 3 times in the House of Commons. However, his bill is in limbo after MPs rejected his intensive timetable to get the legislation through the lower house in 3 days, thus scuppering the Prime Minister's plans to have the UK out of the EU with a deal by his do-or-die pledge date of October 31, 2019. On Saturday, the Benn Act forced the Prime Minister to write to the EU requesting an extension of Article 50 for 3 months because no deal had been agreed by the 19th of October. Europeans are currently considering whether to grant the extension, with President of the European Council Donald Tusk pressuring EU member state leaders to back the delay. Downing Street sources have suggested that should the EU agree to the third delay to Brexit, the government would again push for a general election. Mr. Johnson's team fears that even if the bill is passed in 2 weeks rather than the end of this week, a long delay may allow Remainers to hijack other parliamentary procedures and scupper Brexit. While an unnamed Number 10 source told Politics Home on Tuesday night, on Saturday Parliament asked for a delay until January and today Parliament blew its last chance. If Parliament's delay is agreed by Brussels, then the only way the country can move on is with an election. This Parliament is broken. If the government is successful in triggering an election, it could take place in early November or, according to some observers, between the 5th and 12th of December. The Fixed-Term Parliaments Act, however, means that Mr. Johnson must have the agreement of 2/3 of the House of Commons. Remainers in the opposition have already voted against an early election twice. Another route, according to the BBC, is a one-line bill that needs a simple majority. But that proposed legislation, too, could be attacked with a host of Remain-backing amendments which could get through as the Conservatives do not hold a majority in the House of Commons. Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn, who has consistently called for an election in recent years, refused to back a public vote last month, the first opposition leader in British political history to block the dissolution of Parliament. Labour sources speaking to The Guardian last night have said that they are ready to back a snap election once the EU27 agrees to an extension of Article 50, ruling out a no-deal Brexit on October 31. A spokesman later told the publication that the priority is extension, then election.
Yeah, there you go, guys. Welcome back to the English Defense League radio show with the host, Jeff Spider Mitchell. And Jeff, I know you're thinking about that one.
I'll tell you what, it falls in line with, as I say, the date when we should be leaving the EU on the 31st of October, right? What comes to my mind as I was listening to all this drivel, this crap that's going on, this delay, whatever, it's trick or treat. And it's what it was set up for, the trick or treat. Yeah, we'll give you a treat. No, it's just a trick. No, it wasn't a treat. It wasn't a trick, it was a treat. You know, all that is just smoking mirrors. Illusion to fool. They try to fool us, Dave. They try to fool us, the people. You know, fool us once, whatever, fool us twice, but, you know, we haven't never been fooled. That's the truth of it. It's just, we was hoping and praying that we would see common sense, but this Parliament is a broken Parliament. I can't see anything forward apart from a general election, a snap election, ASAP, and blow the rest of them out of the water. Whatever gets shot at them, because all they are is dead wood. That's all they are, and they are creating problems for the people in this country. That is unacceptable. They're only politicians, proletarians, whatever you want to call them, and they don't talk on behalf of the people. They talk against the will of the people. They are far from sorry. They are traitors to the people. So the sooner we get rid of them, and Dave will soon do something which I've saluted him for doing. He will be reading the names of the traitors. Listen carefully to each one of these traitors. Maybe he's in your constituency. Maybe you will have some questions for your person there who's in Parliament. Maybe there's a few things you need to talk to him about. So we will be the name and shame them. That is what we will do this evening. We've been looking forward to this. I know Dave has. He's been chomping at the bit to expose these disgusting people out there. But with that, Dave, yeah, feels like trick or treat, doesn't it, Dave? Yeah, definitely. That's the reason why it was set up, wasn't it? It looks that way, doesn't it?
Well, mostly tricks, Jeff. Yeah, I mean, it's the worst sort of games playing. All right, I mean, first of all, and Jan pointed this out years ago now. Okay, because this has been since June 2016. Jan pointed this out. Parliament should have never gotten their hooks into this, all right? Because it's none of Parliament's...
wasn't it, Dave? That's it. That's what you...
Yeah. It's none of Parliament's business. It's none of Parliament's business. As you said, Jeff, it was the people's vote, and at the end of the referendum, when the legitimate result was gotten, it was at that point Theresa May's responsibility to come through and leave the EU, not with a treaty that leaves you guys beholden to them, giving them a lot of money, subject to their rules, none of that garbage. I mean, again, guys in the UK, you saw the ballot. I've seen the ballot over here in the United States. I've seen the ballot, and it didn't say anything about any of that mess. It said leave or remain. Okay? It was extremely simple. It's the most simple ballot for a referendum that I've ever seen, honestly. And I've seen it. Wasn't
it, Dave? You couldn't get it any simpler than what it was. There was nothing hard, nothing you had to think about. Either yay or nay. That's all it was, wasn't it, Dave? Yay or nay.
Yeah, that's right, Jeff. I mean, my God, man, I've seen referendum initiatives here in my hometown of Burlington, Vermont, and you know some of them are, you have to bring a calculator and 2 or 3 university professors with you to get to understand. I mean, it's big long paragraphs of stuff, and it's like, okay, do they mean this or do they mean that? No, this was extremely simple. This is what the people voted for, and the people who are against it have just been using trickery and just plain BS to try and stop it, and making themselves look worse by the minute. All right, I do hope there is a general election, because if there is, I won't say, as Jeff does, that the Labor Party will completely go away, because Satan's always in the background, that he's always doing his work. And in my opinion, the Labor Party are doing his work. So they'll always be there. But in my opinion, if there's a general election, there'll be a third, and a distant third at that. Probably, as Jeff and I discussed earlier, behind the Brexit Party, the Brexit Party and the Conservatives, and who knows, UKIP might even beat them. I mean, at this point, they're that unpopular. Because
the Green Party, couldn't it, Dave? Let's be honest, even the Green Party, some obscure party out there, the raving loony party or something like that could beat them.
There you go, the raving loony party.
Yeah, right.
I would love that.
You know, they think that the donkey's years, Dave. They could beat them. I mean, it's quite obvious people have had enough of the Marxist, the anti-Semitic Labour Party, which is a
terrorist-supporting Labour Party.
Many people, back way before my generation, when I was a young man, always voted Labour. They, come from working class, come from up north.
Of course, yeah.
Always Labour. But what they've seen now, they would turn in their graves to see that the way that the socialists and the Marxists, the extreme left wing, which has crept into this Labour Party, or what it used to be called the People's. It was for the people. It's quite obvious it's nothing to do with the people. They've always had their Marxist ways, but a lot of it was taken in back in the time when we were young people. But time and tide, and people, realise with common sense when they look out and look in of what is been involved with this Labour Party. Now everybody knows. They've shown their colours so many times now. You look at Jeremy Corbyn, come on. If he's not wasn't a commander of the RA, then I don't know what. It's pure speculation, but at the same time, there's facts out there that shows that points in that direction. Who would want to put him in power? Someone who betrayed British soldiers. It's probably the death of many soldiers when the Northern Ireland troubles were about. You can't ever let that forget. Forget that. He should never ever. And I'll tell you what, there would be a revolution if he got any chance to snip at 10 Downing Street. People would take the streets, not just the people. Let's talk about the army. That's been talked about before, and I don't want to speak on behalf of the army, but there was a lot of talk going back a while ago that there would be a mutiny, something like that happened, and I can still see it happening, Dave. I'm a realist. Yeah. I believe in real things, and I do believe, and he's got no chance. He's got as much chance of him becoming the power and being the Prime Minister as though I've been the Pope. But then again, I've probably got more chance of being the new Pope than he's got of being Prime Minister. Am I right, Dave?
And that is it for this time. Next time, Part 2. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for listening, and may your God go with you. Goodbye. The Unpleasant Blind Guy is copyright 2019. Anno Domini. Now for Dave's Canes. Extras that help you navigate the new media world.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics,
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.